Hey everyone, this video is going to be the top 10 suburbs of Houston, Texas. These areas that I've picked, you can see on the map kind of highlighted right now, are areas that I think a new family or an existing family maybe moving within the area or moving into Houston, Texas would probably be interested in. That's what this video is going to focus on. So a little about me, I grew up in Houston. I think I lived in Houston from 1 to about age 14. Most of that was in Tomball off of 1960, right up about here. And then we moved over to Kingwood when I was about 9 or 10, and I lived there until I was about 14. And then my family got transferred up to Dallas, and I went to high school up in Plano. That's my backstory a little bit and why I'm partial to Houston. Let's jump into this now. We'll start talking to the northeast up here. We're going to start in Kingwood. We'll work our way through Spring, the Woodlands. We're going to talk about Cypress, Katy, Sugarland, and then get down to Pearland and move over to Friendswood, Clear Lake, and League City. So those are the top 10, and then I'll have a couple honorable mentions at the end. And I'll also talk about some more reasons why you might want to live either up in the north or to the south. So jumping into it, Kingwood, this is, like I said, where I grew up. I'm very partial to Kingwood. It is an older community, and it's pretty much fully developed out. It is about 40 to 50 year old kind of development area. Some of it got fleshed out in the last 20 to 30 years. So there are some newer homes or some older homes. I personally like it because as a kid, they have a greenbelt system there that you can just work your way through all of the little neighborhoods and stuff, and you're off the roads. They go right through the woods. This is that denser forested area that I talked about earlier. There's lots to do for kids. There's little pocketed pools all over the place. They have the country club there. There's I believe 4 golf courses. It sits right on Lake Houston. You can kind of see that down here to the southeast of Kingwood. Access to Lake Houston for boating and wakeboarding, whatever you want to do out there, fishing and whatnot. And it has the San Jacinto River that feeds into that lake. So Kingwood is part of the Tomball ISD school system. The population in Kingwood's about 81,000 people. Median income's listed at $52K. Median home price is about $375, and the school district has a rating of 82 with a total of 18 schools. But again, that encompasses all of Tomball. It doesn't spell out specifically Kingwood, so that's something to research with your real estate agent if you want to start looking in that kind of an area. All right, moving on from there, we're going to go talk about Spring to the west because we got a lot to get through. So Spring is kind of that. Well, let's jump up to the Woodlands. Let's talk about the Woodlands first, and then I'll tell you why I want to talk about Spring next. So Woodlands actually extends all the way out over here. This is all considered Woodlands. A lot of master plan communities out here. A lot of people are wanting to move to the Woodlands. I hear that all the time. Woodlands, Woodlands, Woodlands. And there's a lot of good reasons for that. They have massive shopping here. There's the Herman Memorial Parkway up here, but there's not really any new construction. It is, they do have kind of like San Antonio Riverwalk. So they have like the Woodlands Riverwalk. They have this nice amphitheater out here. They do stuff there. This is where the Iron Man is hosted every year. They have good shopping. They have the mall. They have anything and everything you want along Interstate 45 over here. And it is a highly sought after place. Golf courses, $1 million homes on the lake here. Multi-million-dollar homes. It is a little bit more expensive in the Woodlands, so the population is 120,000. And I think when you see the median, if you look at the median home prices, that kind of gives you an idea of the area and kind of like what it's going to cost you and what kind of money you should have to be able to afford to live in these places. And the median home price for the Woodlands is $565,000. So it's a little bit more expensive. If you go right outside of Woodlands, I'll talk about it in a minute, you might be able to get something more affordable but still have access to the Woodlands. The Woodlands is part of the Conroe ISD, and they are rated an 89 out of 100, which is pretty good. It's not the best on the list, but it is pretty good. And again, that's Conroe ISD. The Woodlands specific schools in that area might be a little better, a little worse. You have to look that stuff up specifically for your area. Just in the Woodlands area, there's 6 hospitals, major hospitals in that area. So if medical is important to you, they do have the Herman, which is big in Houston, Herman Memorial Hospital. So something to think about there. All right, we'll kick off with the Woodlands right now. We're going to have more videos coming on all this stuff, which reminds me, if you want to see specific videos on some of these suburbs that we're talking about today, Be sure to click the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. When you click the bell icon, you get notified as soon as we release a new video. You'll get that push notification. So if you like this stuff and you're thinking about moving to Houston or within the Houston area, keep an eye on our channel, and that's a way you can do it. All right, moving down to Spring, Texas. This is a kind of an older developed area. There's not a lot of new construction down here either, but the median home price drops to $365,000 with a population of 63,000 people. And they are part of the Spring ISD, which is bigger than Spring itself. Again, that's pretty common around Texas and most places. Their rating is 81, so school rating is 81 according to txschools.gov. So it's a little bit lower on the school side, but you have much more affordable homes here, and there are some nice neighborhoods down there. You're also still sitting on Interstate 45, which gives you, 10-minute access to the Woodlands and all the Woodlands has to offer. Another draw for these two areas is going to be Conroe, up here to the north. And I'm going to probably do a video on Conroe eventually. It's kind of outside of the scope of what I think people are looking at with suburbs and coming up with a top 10 list, but it's definitely not a bad option. And living in the Woodlands or Spring or Conroe gives you access to Lake Conroe, which has a lot of that boating and stuff people want to go check out and do on the weekends. Gives you something to do on the weekends. So something to consider with these two areas. All right, we're going to move west. There are pockets and stuff throughout here, and an honorable mention. I'll throw it in now instead of at the end since we're going through here. It's going to be Tomball. Tomball's got an older feel to it. Like they do like the farmers markets on the weekend in the downtown square. The school there is really, really good. They got some new schools going in. I got some drone shots out there last week. I was driving around out there checking out the area. I had to do a drone for a commercial client. So I was in the area. I shot some stuff and just drove around downtown checking it out. It's got a really nice vibe to it, and just really, really old, kind of that old feel. And there is some new construction stuff going up to the northwest of Tomball. And it's worth an honorable mention. So Tomball, and I did grab their stats for Tomball as well. Tomball, smaller, population of 14,000, median home price $291,000. So a little bit more affordable homes there. And they have a rating of 95 out of 100 for the overall for the Tomball district. That's almost the highest on my list. Friendswood had the highest at 97, which we'll get to, but so definitely worth a look. If schools are really, really important to you, you really want to take a look at Tomball. All right, moving on. We got Cypress. Oh my gosh, Cypress is blowing up. It is absolutely just going mad out there. The new construction is incredible. They got just one master plan community after another, and it is really, really blowing up out there. It is something to definitely look at. One of the big draws out here is going to be Town Lake. It's the only boating lake inside of Houston that you can actually take a boat out on. It's not a huge lake, but it is nice. Fancy shopping. You can pull your boat right up to the dock. You can go eat dinner and then get back on your boat, go to your house. It's a higher end area. It is a little bit more expensive in Cypress, with a median home price just south of $400,000 a year. They're part of the Cypress Fairbanks ISD, and they overall it encompasses a huge area, but their overall rating is a 90. And that is across 88 schools in the whole Cypress Fairbanks ISD. So there's also 3 hospitals in the area. And then, of course, you do have Woodlands, and you have the medical corridor a little further to the southeast. Down in this area, you got a lot of medical stuff down here. And then to the northeast, you still have the Woodlands and hospitals up there. So it's blown out into this area called Bridgeland. Bridgeland has some new development stuff going on out here, and it is just full-time construction in that area. They are building houses left and right. Very affordable. You get so much for your money just in Houston in general, but out here even so much more. One of the draws is that it is kind of far to downtown. It's kind of far to the Woodlands. You're talking about a 45-minute drive along 99 on a good day to get to the Woodlands, and probably about a 30 to 40-minute drive to get down to Katy, which we'll jump into next. But there is a lot of goodness going on in Cypress. It's definitely something to check out. Moving south to Katy, let's talk about Katy real quick. Katy is massive. You got the energy corridor over here. It almost looks like its own little city when you drive through there. Just buildings are popping up. Giant buildings are popping up all over the place down there. And then Katy itself is actually kind of small. The population is only 26,000 with a median home price of about 400,000. And then the school district is rated a 91 out of 100, and they have a total of 72 schools. So if you look on the map, if you look on Google Maps and just type in Katy ISD, you'll see it's much bigger than just Katy itself. So Katy being a relatively small town with 26,000, it's actually the ISD is a much bigger part of that. So Katy, what would be considered Katy, is also growing out to the south and the west a little bit. And something to think about with Katy is that it is a long drive to Houston. Like this Interstate 10 can get really, really congested. But if you just want a good school district and you need to be out there for that energy corridor, and it has its own self-contained, a lot of things to do, amenities in those master plan communities, it is a really, really good option. All right, moving to the southeast, we'll get into Sugarland, which is an amazing place to live. They have some absolutely stunning master plan communities down here. Lots of waterfront homes. You can see on here the little channels and man-made lakes that they've put in down here. There's some stunning places down there. You've got golf courses, you've got shopping, it is a pretty well established area down here. You got the old Imperial Sugar Factory. I think they've turned that into a museum now. And then to the northeast, worth a mention is Missouri City. Also a lot of existing home purchases and stuff available up there if you wanted to get into that area. Also a good ISD. But let's talk about real quick, we'll get into the Sugarland information. So population's just south of 110,000, median home price about 475,000, and their rating school, they're actually part of Fort Bend ISD, and they have an 89 score out of 100 according to txschools.gov. They have a total of 42 schools within the Sugarland area, and I really like it down there. It's nice. I'll talk a little bit more about reasons why you might want to live there as we move along here. All right, I said earlier, really not anybody looking inside of Beltway 8 at anywhere to live. There is the one exception. There is the Heights, the Houston Heights over here. And this is, it's a little bit more expensive to live down here. And I don't think I didn't pull up any of the information for it. I meant to, I didn't get to it. I'll throw it up on the screen as I talk through this. The Heights has really close proximity to Houston. It's just literally like 10 minutes and you're in downtown Houston. It is, it's more of a historic district now, and I think almost the entire area is covered by the historic committee that they have there. So that is an option, something you could think about there. People like it because there's just a lot of nice things to do there. 300 something different restaurants, and they're all really quaint, nice feel. You got that community vibe there in the Heights, and it's relatively safe even though you're in that close proximity to Houston. So something to consider there. It is a beautiful area. I went through there yesterday and actually did some drone stuff. So that's my second honorable mention. I know I said top 10, but Tomball and the Heights, they kind of get that honorable mention at the end. All right, going down to the areas I like most right now. I know it's out of that heavily treed, wooded areas, but I'll tell you at the end why I like these areas. So first up is going to be Pearland, which includes all the way out here into Shadow Creek, which is a really, really awesome master plan community. I'm kind of in these areas frequently, so I know these places pretty well. Pearland proper is kind of an older area, more affordable homes. You've got not a lot, there's some new construction there, but not a ton of new construction and not a ton of master plan communities. Not anything like what you get over in Shadow Creek. And if you look at the maps, Shadow Creek is actually part of Alvin ISD, which is down here to the south. And then anything east of the 288 highway is going to be part of Pearland ISD. So something to think about there. Shadow Creek's amazing. There's a lot of nice homes out there. So giving some numbers on Pearland, we got a population of 127,000. The median home price is 405,000. And there is a TX Schools Gov rating of 94 across 48 schools, and they have 2 major hospitals in the area. All right, enough about Pearland. Let's move on. Friendswood is much older. It's extremely well established. There's no new construction out there, almost zero. Friendswood just has that like community, homey, very tight community down there. I've driven through there several times, and every time I drive through there, I just get that feeling of like the little pocketed parks and stuff, and seeing the kids out playing at the parks and riding bikes, and family-oriented, good area to live. But so Friendswood, we'll go through their stats. Population's a little bit smaller, 41,000. The median home price is right at $500,000. The TX Schools rating gives it a 97. It's the highest on our list, a 97 out of 100, and it gives you that close proximity to Interstate 45. And along 45, you're going to find anything and everything you want. You got the lagoons down to the south, and then over to the east, you have Space Center Houston. You have proximity to the Gulf Coast. You have proximity to Clear Lake. You have proximity to the Kingwood Boardwalk. Friendswood has a really big draw and appeal if you're if you're focused on the family and the schools, Friendswood's definitely something to take a look at. All right, moving over to Clear Lake. Clear Lake kind of comes in this area, kind of goes out a little bit further to the east than I can make the circle. The circles were just to represent the suburbs, not necessarily size or population or anything like that. They're just really just markers. But Clear Lake has the Space Center. So we're Space City is what they call Houston. So if your job's taking you anything to do with space related, or you're working for Johnson Space Center, Clear Lake, League City, Friendswood, those are the places to be looking at. That's kind of where they came from, was when the Johnson Space Center was first built. These areas were the ones that popped up around there. So that's just something to consider if you're looking in this area. I've driven through here many times. It does have that proximity to the Kima Boardwalk, which I'll talk about briefly. Kima Boardwalk, sailing. There's a huge sailing community out in this area, but the boardwalk has roller coasters, there's rides, there's things to do, creameries for like ice cream, and the shops and all that stuff to do down there. It's got a very kind of like a just super laid back, that kind of an atmosphere. And a lot of people like going to the Kima Boardwalk. You also have South Shore Harbor over here, which is all of your marine stuff. So marinas and boats and sailing, if you want to get into that or keep a boat down here, you can take sailing lessons down there. If that's your vibe and you're looking for salt water, that is a great place to consider. So Clear Lake gives some stats on that. Its population 78,000. It's got a median home price of 335,000, so a little more affordable. And the school district has a rating of 89 across 25 total schools. There are 4 hospitals in the area, and you have several other hospitals down in this area that are available within 15-20 minute drive. That takes us to our last and final place, League City, which is similar to Friendswood. It's similar to Clear Lake. It's got that same kind of vibe. It's right along that 45 corridor. You've got the proximity to Clear Lake. You've got the proximity to Galveston. And it's a nice, really nice town. It's kind of an extension of Friendswood in a way, because when you drive through downtown League City, like you'll get that sense of, well, this is kind of a cute community. It's close knit. You can tell there's parks and bikes and that kind of stuff. Going through some of the stats on League City, it's a population of 115,000, a little bit larger, but not too big. The average home price is 409,000, and it's part of the Clear Creek ISD with a school rating of 89 out of 100 across 37 total schools. They have 2 hospitals dedicated to servicing League City. All right, so that's the top 10 with 2 add-ons. I will go into some general stuff here now and just talk generalities. Again, I mentioned the airports at the beginning. Another reason you might want to consider the South, which this is kind of my preferred area, even though I grew up in Kingwood and I'm very partial to Kingwood. I loved it up there. This area, for me personally, is my favorite, and the reason I like it is it's got that proximity to the Gulf Coast. So down here, you have Surfside Beach. If you were thinking about maybe doing a rental home on the Gulf Coast, something to consider is Surfside Beach. These are a lot of summer homes, weekend homes, rental homes down here. You've got the fishing jetties, which there's like a paved sidewalk that comes all the way out. You can fish. There's a pedestrian only beach here for walking on. Coming down here, you can drive on these beaches. If you go outside of the Surfside City into the county beach, there's no permits needed. You can just drive your car out here. People drive their cars out here all the time and just park, have a nice day picnic. And then southwest of that, you get down into Sargent, Palacios. All of this area here has weekend homes and opportunities on the water, some on canals. You also have Galveston with the Strand and shopping and bars and a great weekend place. So this kind of stuff is my jam. I love being near the coast. I love being on the water. If that's your jam, if that's what you want to do, the southeast section is a pretty good option just for that reason alone. But it also gives you have the hobby airport here, so you have close proximity to that. And then I'm going to pull this up, which is places of note. These are also a lot closer to a lot of the stuff you're going to want to do than, say, the Woodlands. I mean, look how far the Woodlands is away from, say, the George R. Brown Convention Center, Minute Maid Park, Toyota Center. You've got, the NRG Stadium is here. So all of this stuff, the Houston Zoo, the Herman Park, the Buffalo Bayou, all the stuff that is in Houston that would draw you into Houston, it's closer to all of these. You're talking maybe a 30-minute drive to get all of this stuff. And then you're also a 30-minute drive to get down to like Moody Gardens, Pleasure Pier, all the stuff to do in Galveston. If you did want to get a weekend or a summer home, coming down maybe 35 to 288, and you're talking 30, 45 minutes to get down for a summer home or a beach home. Living in the north side, you do have closer proximity to that international airport I talked about. You also have a little bit closer proximity to like Austin. To the north, you do have the Lake Conroe and that draw and that attraction. And then you also have the more wooded areas. So those are kind of the pros and cons and a really high level of living around Houston. All right, so that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you got something from it. And if you did, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button down below. If you have comments, of course, comment. I'm going to respond to every comment in there, either me or my partner. If you are looking for a place to live in the Houston area, any of these suburbs, me and my partner, we cover this. Her name's Tessa. One of us can help you in one of these areas. So reach out to the information, to the phone number or email address. Give us a call, give us a text, or shoot us an email. We'd love to have that one-on-one conversation with you and try to help you out with any of your needs in real estate. Other than that, we appreciate you watching and have a good day.